a lot of singers would say that music is their life and they dedicate a lot of their lives and also time on a daily basis to music or enhancing their skill. So, but you're doing multiple things in a given month or a time frame. So, where does music fit into that?
Music is always primary, because if I think if music isn't there, I would, all these other things can't happen. I keep wandering and I come back to music. That's the way I'm made.
Do you draw strength from it?
Yes, I do. I draw strength from it. Sometimes I draw multiple things from it. And my primary identity as a musician, my primary, even for my own self, for my soul, music is important.
So, has there been a time frame where you were probably very depressed in life, and how did you get over that?
I have been at various different points in time where, you know, there are times when people will pull you down in several ways, and it's very easy to play with my head. A lot of people know that.
Okay.
And the smart ones have figured it out even faster than the slower ones. So they know how to mess around with my head, and there was a point in time when a set of people had messed it up enough to make me doubt whether I must continue being a musician, continue being a singer.
I mean, what happened? Like, was it that bad?
It was, you know, once you, it's very subliminal. You keep telling somebody while you're recording that you're not good enough, or maybe, why don't you try and sound like this person? You know, they're good. So at that point, it's not jealousy,
Right.
but it's, since they probably already knew that I have my tendency to be self-critical is high. So then I came to this point where I thought my diffidence was getting played up a lot more. So I thought, maybe I'm not good enough. Why should I continue if I'm not good enough?
Right.
Right? I'd rather go do something else. And if I'm that bad, I shouldn't continue and I shouldn't be here. So that was what I was, because and somehow, because my mother was my guru, she kind of brought me up in a way, there was no praise at home. She still does not and continues to not praise me, saying that you're already getting enough praise from your husband and in-laws and it's already gone to your head and I can't deal with you anymore, sort of a thing. So she said, I can't keep praising you, praise doesn't come from home. I completely believe in that concept of praise not coming from home. You're already listening to so much of praise outside. But unfortunately, I was a child which I think all the criticism probably didn't do me good. I'm trying to rewire it, but I'm not able to change that at all. I'm not able to change it. Maybe it's good. Someday I'll find an answer to why I'm wired or why I'm made this way. So yes, there was a time where I was extremely diffident. Sometimes colleagues, sometimes seniors, sometimes others.
You've had a very serious childhood, is it? Like
Very serious childhood. Very serious childhood. I don't think there was this concept of fun and being jolly and happy-go-lucky and sunshine and all that didn't happen. It was mostly grey clouds. That's what my childhood was all about. And even until growing up, I think until Rahman sir's opportunity to sing in Kanathil Muthamittal came through, life was very bad. It was mostly struggle after struggle after struggle, and which is what I think a lot of times I've even blogged about it, saying that each time I think in our lives, every light at the end of a tunnel, we'd be wondering if it's an oncoming train. It's one of the, as that very old saying goes. Thankfully, that one time it was a beacon of light and not a train. So one thing led to another, and then even after having such a dream break, life wasn't a bed of roses for me, even if people think it is. Right. So I have felt depressed then. I have felt not depressed, not in the clinical sense of it, but I have seriously doubted where I was. I've gone through tough phases in various different ways. Also, I think there was this time where the social media harassment became really high.
Right.
For something as simple as one girl just generally responding to me saying that, I wish I could, I come from a family which cannot afford to pay for a medical, school degree. I wish I could do that even though I have some 98% or 99% or so. So I said, I wish there was a way that you could also, there must be a way of recognizing talent in this country.
Yeah.
So not only, thankfully, see, I come from a school, in the sense of not the school. I come from this pedagogy which is into music, where how well you sing, or how, if it was more about destiny and luck, what your last hit determines your next song, right? But by default, you need to sing well. Right. You need to be in pitch, at least to a certain extent, in spite of auto tune and everything else. You need to be able to play a certain musical instrument in a certain way. You need to know, if you're a musician or if you're an arranger, you need to know the skill, you need to know your tools, your software, you need to know all that to be a musician. You can't, and your caste or your community and your religion doesn't define you.
Right.
Unfortunately, I guess it doesn't work like that for several other things in our country. So I wish there was a way that you could still do it. I mean, I wish there was a way that financially, people who are not doing so well but who are still talented could get to study what they wanted.
Right.
And then that somehow got taken out of proportion, and people said things that I didn't say, and things about fishermen and then suddenly my caste came into play, which something that's an identity I never really wore. And I never had to also. It is not something that I have grown up listening to, saying that you belong to this caste and hence you... No, you can do... I grew up knowing I am the daughter of a divorcee. By default, the society is going to be bad to me. So, more judgmental about me. And I'm the daughter of a divorcee who's into films and who's singing... so how much more cliched can it get about, oh my God, I'm being judged in every which way. So, I am brought up to not judge people, and until I think my 10th standard or 11th standard, until they asked me what this, I didn't know what an FC, BC or an OBC and all this stood for.
Right.
Until then, none of it mattered. My grandparents didn't tell me what I was. I didn't know the difference between one sect and the other. I only knew about praying, I knew about going to the temple, I knew about some rituals that they used to do at home, but I had no clue about what it's associated with a certain caste. We didn't grow up like that.
Right.
That's not how my family was. And unfortunately, the general public and the newly outraging social media keyboard warriors don't understand all that. And I was naive. I presume that we are all like you and me. So if we disagree on something, we can have a very civil discussion about it.
Right.
And
of course, that didn't happen.
it didn't happen.
Right.
So it went into an all-out caste base. You bloody this caste woman, you shall be raped and cut and thrown. And what surprised me the most was there was this doctor from the UK, or so she claimed. She blogged about it, saying that this is such an accurate revenge on somebody who's belonging to an oppressed class. I'm like, what? He is a certain somebody I meet on social media. How do I know which caste he is? Number one. Second, you have spoken against all fishermen because you are belonging to this caste. I said, I don't think so. I didn't say that.
But you did take a very brave stand against the whole issue, right?
Absolutely. I'm proud of it. In spite of a lot of people saying that I got help because the government doesn't care about me. I'm one of the several crores of people who was in Tamil Nadu. I went and took legal help, and legally my case was under 66A, which was very debatable. I still stand for freedom of speech, but it was not only because of 66A, it came under women harassment.
Okay.
And it was of the 6 people or the 5 people I think that I lodged a case under, the police were able to, they were really, they could go and find those people only because of my fans. I have to tell you that, because my fans helped give me the addresses of those people. Otherwise, it's like a needle in a haystack. We gave them the addresses of 2 people, they found them.
There was also a rumor that somebody lost their job because of that.
Yeah, because one of them was a government employee. He was an assistant professor with the National Institute of Fashion Technology, and which is what was more surprising, that you are an educator, you are educating kids, and you have such a misogynist persona to yourself on social media, and you are very open about it. You put it up on your Twitter bio saying that I'm an assistant professor at NIFT and I shall say whatever I want, you are a damn woman, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, whatever. So one of these guys became really violent, and violent in speech rather. So I put up his photograph on my Facebook page and asked, can anybody identify him? I want to lodge a case.
Right.
So fans got back, said this guy is my professor. A lot of girls got back saying that we have been affected by him in class as well. So I got a lot of thank yous privately, saying that thank you, something that we couldn't do, you did. So I said I'm very, very, very proud if that can happen. I think it's a rule about something that if you're a government employee and if you have been behind bars for X number of days, I'm not sure exactly how much,
Okay. Then
you automatically lose your job or something.
is it still the case, or have you taken it lightly now?
It's still it's still what the case?
Well, is the online trolling so severe even now, or have you
I'm
just
sure,
moved on? You
I
don't
think
care.
trolling has those guys don't come,
Okay.
but trolling is going to be a part of our generation. I think this newfound. A lot of people see. I think also have to understand that social media is not being used only by the people in the cities. It's not being used by people like you and me, who would wait, pause, think about what we are saying to someone else. Even in our best of times, I think even we would react at points. So here, I think we have users of social media coming in from areas which location geographically, which believe that women or men or people should behave in a certain way. This is what society is about, and all you guys are kalank to the society, concept of society. So right now, social media is becoming the melting pot, not cities. Social media is the melting pot, and hence it's going to be a clash of a lot of mindsets coming together, saying that you sing in the films, and how can you talk about morals? This is how things are. For somebody from a smaller town, this is what they have grown up hearing. So until they read, they open their minds. We also open our minds about how people can think and how and not holding anything against anybody. It will take some time. But now I think right from the advent of the internet to cell phones to everything our generation has seen. So eventually it will all settle in a while, I presume.
For more videos, please subscribe to iDream.
Hi, this is Sai Kripa, strength coach. For more videos, please subscribe to iDream.
And more videos, please subscribe to iDream Media.
Hi, I am Sirisha Reddy, fashion designer. Please subscribe to iDream Media.
For more videos, please subscribe iDream Media.
Please do subscribe to iDream.
హలో అందరికీ నమస్కారం, నేను మీ గెటప్ శ్రీను. ప్లీజ్ సబ్స్క్రైబ్ టు iDream Media.
iDream అంటే నా కళల ఛానల్ సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకున్నారు, నోరు తిరుగుతలేదు. మీరైతే గంట గుర్తు కొట్టండి.